If you want to really know what's going on with the midterms, you need look no further than what's happening right now in the state of Virginia. For months, Democrats have been telling us they had a master plan, a brilliant strategic maneuver that was going to flip the House and stop Trump's agenda dead in its tracks. They had Virginia's governor on board. They had Hakeem Jeffries all in. They even had Barack Obama cutting television ads for them. And Virginia voters barely, narrowly, by just 3 points, said yes. The Democrats were dancing in the streets. Spamberger was triumphant. Jeffries was practically measuring the drapes in the speaker's office. That was 15 days ago. And now the knives are out. The finger pointing and blame game have begun. $64 million is sitting in a dumpster fire. And the Virginia redistricting gambit that was supposed to be the Democrats' path back to power is collapsing in spectacular fashion. Wait until you see this. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to celebrate yet another glorious day in the Trumpian golden age that you made possible back in November of 2024. So if you want a front row seat on how you continue to change the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It is no secret that Democrats knew what was going to happen with the landmark Louisiana versus Calais ruling long before it was actually handed down just days ago. They knew for weeks now that Sam Alito was drafting the majority opinion. They knew that the inevitable striking down of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act would give Republicans the constitutional green light to redistrict mid-decade in every red state across the country. And so the Democrats did what they do best. They panicked. And you frankly can't blame them for that. They watched Texas take 5 seats. They watched Missouri, Ohio, North Carolina, and Florida either redraw or announce that they were redrawing their maps for the express purpose of locking in Republican dominance for a generation. And so Democrats looked around and said, we got to hit back somewhere. Remember, all the dwindling blue states have basically ransacked their gerrymandering. They've exhausted it. There's nothing left to gerrymander in New England, for example. They can't overcome the Republican-dominated Maryland Supreme Court. They're powerless to do anything in Washington State or Oregon. California already maxed itself out with their new redistricting map. New Mexico's maxed out. I mean, everywhere Democrats looked, there were less and less redistricting options, except for one state. One state that could still net the Democrats a pickup of 4 seats. And that one state was Virginia. Now, Virginia is interesting because it's a purple state that's trended blue in recent cycles. Governor Abigail Spamberger, which is more or less Virginia's version of Gretchen Whitmer or Gavin Newsom, she was riding high after her 2025 gubernatorial victory. And she and state Senate leaders looked at the current 6-5 Democrat to Republican congressional map and said, you know what? I bet we can squeeze out 4 seats from that. We can turn that map into a 10-1 Democrat-dominated map through a redistricting referendum. 10-1. 10-1 in a state that cackles Kamala won by less than 5 points. If this does not prove to you that the Democrat Party lives, breathes, and has its being in pursuit of power, and they don't care one whit who they have to trample on to get it, if that, nothing will. So they drafted a constitutional amendment. They pushed it through a special session of the General Assembly, and they put it on the April 21st ballot. And here's where it all begins to fall apart. Because here's the thing about what Virginia Democrats did. They were in such a rush. They were so panicked by the Trump redistricting wave that they cut every single corner they could find. And the courts noticed. So a circuit court judge in Tazewell County, Judge Jack Hurley, looked at what Virginia Democrats had done and ruled back in January that the upcoming constitutional amendment vote was void from the start. Basically, the Democrats were just so freaked out about the redistricting wars that they cut every corner imaginable. They failed to provide the required 90-day notice before the election. They used misleading ballot language, framing a pure partisan gerrymander as a question of fairness. And third, they didn't follow the statute requiring an intervening election of the House of Delegates between the two votes needed, the two separate votes needed to approve a constitutional amendment. So this is basically the Virginia state constitution requirement. In order to amend the state constitution, a measure has to pass in two separate legislative sessions with an intervening election in between. So it would have to pass a legislative session, say in October, last October. Then you'd have your statewide election in November. And then the measure would have to pass again in a legislative session, say in January. Obviously, the Democrats knew that. There was no passing of this measure before Spanberger was elected to office back in November. They just blatantly ran this through a single special session and rushed it to the ballot before any election could serve as a Democratic check on the process. That alone would be enough to sink this illegal referendum. And so a Tazewell County judge, again, back in January, ruled that this constitutional amendment was void from the start. So what did the Democrats do in response? Did they pump the brakes? Did they admit, yeah, we definitely cut several corners? All right, yeah, you're right. We need to go back to the drawing board. Maybe we should fix this and do it right. Of course they didn't. Again, they don't care what or who they have to trample on to get power. What they did is they appealed the ruling. And the Virginia Supreme Court let the referendum proceed while its constitutionality was being determined. And to that end, the Democrats poured, I kid you not, I want you to hear this number. The Democrats poured $64 million into the Yes campaign to pass the amendment. 64 mil. Barack Obama was in the paid television ads. Spanberger was everywhere. And the result? The referendum passed 51-49. They barely squeaked it through by 3 points. And then one day later, Judge Hurley struck it down again on April 22nd, the morning after the vote. He basically said, what did you not understand from my previous ruling in January? He issued an injunction blocking the state from certifying the results. Certifying the results of an election the day after it happened. Virginia Democrats went to the Supreme Court of Virginia and said, please lift this block. The voters have spoken. We want to continue. And the Supreme Court said, no. No, we have yet to determine the constitutionality of this vote. And now the Virginia Supreme Court is weighing whether to void the entire vote, the referendum, the maps, all of it, based on those same three procedural violations that Judge Hurley identified back in January. And this is where things get politically devastating for the Democrats. It's going to blow you away. But first, if you felt off since 2021, tired, foggy, not quite yourself, some research points to a possible reason doctors may not be discussing. A peer-reviewed study in cardiovascular diabetology looked at 99 long COVID patients and found persistent micro blood clots in all of them. Clots that resist normal breakdown and may be linked to ongoing symptoms. Some researchers suggest spike proteins could contribute to these effects even without obvious symptoms. So the question is, how do you address it? Well, one compound getting attention is nattokinase, a natural enzyme shown in lab studies to break down fibrin, a key component of these clots. Even Joe Rogan's been talking about nattokinase for years. Just watch.
What is the supplement nattokinase?
Yeah, nattokinase is an enzyme that helps break down blood clots. And atherosclerosis is what it really is the immune system quarantining damaged particles. Those particles are damaged because you loaded them with seed oils, and then your mitochondrial function declined and you lost your defense against the damage. And then you got, progressively more seed oil damage and the immune system's trying to protect the blood vessel from it. That's what the plaque is, but that plaque is highly inflammatory.
And here's why it matters even more. Researchers have also seen nattokinase break down the spike protein itself in lab settings, meaning it's working on the damage and the underlying culprit at the same time. And listen, this isn't theory. Just go look at the thousands of reviews on Black Forest's site. Now, here's the part you need to hear. Black Forest just dropped their biggest Mother's Day deal of the year. Buy one, get one free on the entire site, including Ultimate Spike Detox. Now, one bottle is $38.96. So with their buy one, get one free deal, you're getting 2 bottles, nearly $80 worth of product for just the price of one, but only for the next 48 hours. Hit the link in the description right below and grab this amazing buy one, get one free offer before it's gone.
Well, I talked to some of those same people yesterday, and what I was told is they now think it's less than 50% that the court will let the certification go through. And what really triggered it, they said, was when the court didn't rule by Friday afternoon. The time they don't believe is on their side. And what apparently transpired over the weekend, and this person would know, they're in contact with the people I'm about to say, is that the governor's staff is now snipping at the Senate Majority Leader and House Speaker that they warned them last fall this would not pass legal review.
That's Democrat commentator Dan Turrentine reporting on what his sources are saying from inside the Virginia governor's office and the state Democrat Party, what they're telling him, and they're flipping out. They're literally panicking. They're now pointing fingers at the people who pushed this plan the hardest because they knew about the legal risk of cutting all the corners. And now the knife sharpening has begun. Governor Spanberger's staff is quietly blaming State Senate Majority Leader Scott Surreville and State Senate power broker Louise Lucas, the two who pushed back hardest on the legal warnings. Democrats are also targeting Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader. Some Virginia Democrats are saying that he pushed way too hard on his his scheme to try to get back the House despite the legal concerns, that he was just so desperate for a path to the Speaker's gavel that he drove them straight into a legal trap. So let's understand the full disaster here. Democrats bet $64 million that Virginia would be their answer to the Trump redistricting wave. Note, that's money that did not go to competitive House races in Arizona, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania. That's money that didn't build ground games. That's money that didn't recruit candidates. That's $64 million that may have just been set on fire. And here's what makes it even worse. Even if Virginia Democrats get these 4 seats, even if the map gets certified, it wouldn't offset what Republicans are doing now that all the red states have the green light from the Supreme Court to completely redistrict their maps. Texas alone gave Republicans 5 new seats. Florida gave us 4 more. That would be met seat for seat with California's 5 and Virginia's 4 if the court permits it. So even if you cancel out those 9 seats, Republicans still have Missouri, they have Ohio, they have North Carolina, they have Louisiana, they have Mississippi, they have Alabama, they have South Carolina, they have Tennessee, they have Georgia. Republicans can easily net another 12 additional seats beyond that canceled out 9 from Texas and Florida. So no matter what happens, even if the referendum is approved by the courts, Virginia's pickup of 4 seats at best would be a speed bump, not a reversal. And now, according to Sabato's crystal ball, Republicans sit at 211 safe or likely seats, while Democrats are down to 209. With Florida's new map already baked in, with Virginia's 4 Democrat seats blocked by the courts, they're not included in that crystal ball assessment, and neither is Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, all of them still to come on the redistricting calendar. So the Democrats are watching the map get redrawn around them in real time, and their one big counter move, the $64 million in a desperate partisan gerrymander in Virginia, is literally dying in the courts. And the most poetic part of all of this? The legal trap they fell into was entirely self-inflicted. They rushed, they cut corners, they were so panicked by what Trump was doing in red states that they violated their own state's constitutional procedures three separate times. And now a circuit court judge in Tazewell County, if you don't know, that's a conservative county in the southwestern corner of Virginia. He may have just single-handedly neutralized the Democrats' entire 2026 redistricting strategy. So what do you guys think? I want to know. I want to hear your thoughts. Is Virginia the redistricting effort, Virginia redistricting effort dead? And what does it mean for Democratic hopes of taking back the House in November? Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button for breaking news and analysis you're not going to get anywhere else. Love you guys. God bless. Get up to speed every morning in under 5 minutes. Patriot Alerts, free, daily, no fluff. Visit the link below and sign up right now.